2018. Time is approximately 10:50 p.m. On the agenda tonight, we have two items under new business. Quasi-Judicial Hearing Resolution 2018-17, and item B, Quasi-Judicial Public Hearing Application, why does that say V or 5? 18-3, petition by Nina Myers. First of all, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as read?
Second.
I have a motion approved and moved and seconded. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. Any from the audience? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion on the floor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. All those all those opposed say nay. The ayes have it unanimously. Mr. Thomas, I see you are at the podium, so you are going to be heading this off.
Yes,
let me go ahead and read the quasi-judicial meeting procedure. This procedure is to ensure that the applicant provides a complete presentation of their request prior to any testimony being provided by the staff. All public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. The procedure we'll follow this evening is that we will, number one, hear from the applicant. Their time limit is unlimited. Number two, the applicant will then be subject to cross-examination. 3, the staff will enter the staff report into the record and answer questions. 4, the applicant will have the opportunity for rebuttal of any testimony against the applicant. 5, the floor will be open for public comment, limited to 5 minutes each. Members of the public will have an opportunity to question the applicant and staff at that time. Item number 6 is the applicant will have an opportunity for closing arguments. 7, the public hearing will be closed and the commission will then enter into deliberations. Madam Clerk, would you care to swear in any bodies that are coming before the board? Thank you, Madam Clerk. First thing we'll do is hear from the applicant on item number 1. This is petition by Pauline Corderi and Lisa Cooper. I apologize if that's incorrect. Agent for Weisman Builders Incorporated, owner for variance to section 4.5.7 residential family RSF 2 zoning district minimum yard setback requirement of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations as submitted on the agenda item. Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Michael Cooper, future resident of Newberry, Florida. I just want to, can I begin? Or okay. All right. So I just want to say that the variance is sought to install a pool in our backyard. We want to keep the property uniform. Also, we have a 5-year-old daughter who we would like to be able to utilize our back porch as well as watch her in the pool. We also want the variance for a possible future enclosure of the pool itself.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, Michael Cooper is not specifically designated on here. Is there a procedure for that?
Mr. Chair, he can present on behalf of the owner, so that's fine if he's here on behalf of the two owners of the property.
Are you related to Lisa Cooper?
Yes, I'm her husband. I am her husband. I'm sorry.
Will she admit that?
Possibly.
Possibly? Okay. All right.
I hope.
Fair enough. Did you have anything else that you wanted to submit that you haven't already done so?
We took the liberty of getting a pool contractor to come out to the property itself. He also was able to draw up some plans to show us exactly how the pool would fit on our property with the 5-foot setback. If you could allow me, I'll show you some of the images that we've.
I actually don't know that it's necessary, Mr. Cooper. We have it in our backup already.
Okay.
Are they the
Those-
same images that?
They're Minecraft looking.
I don't know.
Diagrams,
I don't
right?
know what my wife sent. Yes, that's it.
Okay, perfect. She's on top of it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, the criteria for the award of a variance is that it's not a self-imposed hardship, and typically if the land is configured in such a way, or the lot is configured in such a way that it makes a hardship upon the applicant, then that is one of the grounds upon which you can receive a variance. As noted in the application process, the variance is, or the lot is of configuration that's irregular, and the property sits on a cul-de-sac.
Okay. Did you care to submit anything else at this point, Mr. Cooper?
No, sir. I have
Okay.
nothing else.
Okay. You can just have a seat. Don't go too far.
Yes, sir.
Would state for the record that he has the most well-behaved 5-year-old that I've
Especially
seen.
at 11 o'clock at night.
Here, here.
Mr. Thomas.
She's been amazing. And my 13-year-old will be very impressed that one of our commissioners knows what Minecraft is.
I have a 13-year-old.
As Mr. Cooper stated, they're requesting a variance to the rear building setbacks in RSF2. The rear setback is 15 feet. The application basically would allow them to go 10 feet into that, both including the flat work and then as well a portion of the pool. We've got some pictures to show. Just as far as the location, it's in Newberry Oaks Phase 9 on the cul-de-sac, as was mentioned. The configuration of the lot on the cul-de-sac, I think, does play into the request. As you can see, I made a stab at scaling out the footprint on the lot. And if you look at this was originally from the builder. If you look down in the bottom corners, you can see that there wasn't a whole lot of place to go because the 10-foot setbacks, side setbacks, are right on the corners of the footprint of the house, as scaled here by the builder's drawing. And so it didn't give them a whole lot of room to work with as far as that. I guess it could have been some shifting. One of the things that Mr. Cooper did mention is they had, one of the problems they had with their original application that went before the Planning and Zoning Board was that they had a different pool contractor who had not provided them with enough information to provide an adequate request and justification for the variance. And so they no longer have that pool contractor, and were able to obtain a new contractor who provided them with quite a bit of information, including this sketch here, which was scaled. Given the information that was provided on this sketch, I was able to scale and draw in the 15-foot red setback line there. So as you can see, there will be a portion of the pool itself that would encroach into the 15-foot setback. The rest of it would be the flat work, or the patio. However, keep in mind that the Coopers have also requested that they be granted the variance to also allow, in the future, if they chose to put up a screened enclosure on the pool. So the screened enclosure could go up to the 5-foot encroachment, the 10-foot encroachment into the 15-foot setback. So you'd have a 5-foot effective setback if the variance was approved.
Okay.
Some additional pictures, basically showing you the layout. You've got them in your packet. One of the things that Ms. Cooper had expressed to me was that if they, being able to maintain the sight lines out of the back of the house and the back patio, which is under the cover there of the pool, their concern is that if you move it in this picture to the left, you would lose some of the sight line of the pool, and it would make it more difficult to keep an eye on the pool from the patio.
Understood. Okay.
So,
Mr. Chair.
Mayor Morrow.
The P&Z unanimously declined this special exception, but in fairness to the applicant wasn't present, and no one had communicated with staff what the issues were. So what the P&Z had was this drawing here, which clearly looks like it would be fairly easy to move it to be within the setback. And so I think the motion or the reasoning was it wasn't a self-imposed hardship, or it was a self-imposed hardship. There wasn't a hardship, and that's why they declined it. So there is a 5-0 vote from the P&Z to say no, but they didn't have all the information that you guys have in front of you.
Okay. Mr. Cooper, is there anything that the staff submitted that you wish to rebut? Okay. Let the record reflect that Mr. Cooper agreed with this staff report from the audience. Is there anybody here from the public that wishes to comment on the item? Okay. And hold on just so kind of last chance for anything that you needed to say before we have our little discussion. Anything substantial, I would have to have you come back up to the microphone, though. So at this point, you can reiterate what you already said. If you thought of something that you thought he said incorrectly, you can, or
No.
any additional comments at all.
Well, just to be frank, we ended up, this is a multi-generational home, so my mother-in-law is going to be there as well, along with my daughter and wife. So we have a lot of dynamics that are going on. There's going to be times that my mother-in-law is going to have my daughter, and there's going to be times that just my wife or just me have my daughter as well. As you can see, she's kind of she's up at 11 o'clock at night. So, but we want her to enjoy her childhood, and we want her to enjoy her backyard. That is the utmost importance to us, and the safety of anybody who comes to visit. We also would like to enjoy our backyard and be able to sit and on the porch and watch as the kids frolic in the water. So it is my hope that you guys consider this variance. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Brian, I had one other question. Did the resident behind Mr. Cooper bring forth any challenge to the application? Did they even know about it?
Mr. Chair, the neighbor behind did not provide any written objection or information, but they did phone in and say that they were not in favor because they were afraid that the pool being that close would disturb their dogs.
How far is that house inside their lot?
There's, if you go back to the aerial, you can see it's actually the house that also has a pool behind there. Just my opinion, I can't imagine that a dog is going to be any more sensitive 5 or 10 feet closer than they would be 5 or 10 foot further away.
Okay.
With the dog's hearing, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and usher in the commission's deliberations at this point. Mr. Hurston, did you?
Just a
have
question, with it encroaching on the setback and with another pool that close, is there any ground structural issues that would be concerned?
Mr. Chair, not that we're aware of in terms of, there's still a considerable separation. I am not aware of any, yeah.
Mr. Farnsworth, your microphone's on. Did you have a comment?
I do. Is there a fence or a barrier of some sort between the two properties?
Mr. Chair, you can't see it in this picture because the blue line obscures it, but I believe there is a rear fence across both of the two properties that this would abut on the north side.
Okay. I had one other question. Do you know if there is any ongoing dispute between these two neighbors for any reason?
Not that I'm aware of or we've been made aware of or they've discussed, no, sir.
Mr. Chair, if any commissioners have had any ex parte communications before we vote, we need to put that on the record.
I appreciate the training wheels. Have any of you had any conversation with Mr. Cooper's family about it? Okay. All right. Further discussion?
When we vote, are we voting for the screened now in advance of when it would be done too, or is it just for the setback?
Mr.
He have
Chair,
to come back again, in other words?
the Board of Adjustment in granting a variance basically has the leeway. You can make it for both the pool and this future screen enclosure, or you can limit it to just the pool and patio. That's at the discretion of the Board of Adjustment. Basically what the land development regulations say in terms of granting a variance is that you grant the minimum possible variance to accomplish the goal that overcomes the hardship presented. As the city attorney mentioned, in this case you could potentially consider the configuration of the lot as something that was outside the control of the applicant, in that the house fit a certain configuration or the builder put it on a certain spot, and so it left a constraint as far as where the pool could go.
Brian, does this property ownership affidavit from Gary Wiesman indicate any sort of approval or objection to the variance? 'Cause I don't know how
No,
much
sir,
that property's been built out.
The house is substantially complete at this point.
Okay.
And Mr. Wiesman said he basically was signing over the affidavit to allow them to act as agent until they take possession of the property, and he was in favor of the variance if the board agreed.
Okay. All right. Seeing and hearing no other further objection or discussion, does anyone want to put forth a motion to approve the variance?
I move to approve the variance.
The approval, or motion by Commissioner Glanzer, second by Commissioner Coleman. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Hearing none.
Just so I'm clear, so when we write up would that be to grant the pool alone, or the pool and a future potential for a future?
All right, let's
structure?
rewind. Commissioner.
Can I make a comment about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought we had to do the minimum, which would just be the pool. If it's okay with the commission, I would like to just say go ahead and have it include an eventual screened porch or screened area, so he doesn't have to come back for a additional hearing. So I'd like to amend my motion to include the variance, have the variance to include putting a screened area on in the future.
Is a seconder agreeable? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your pool.
Welcome to Newberry.
Yeah, welcome to Newberry. Okay. Item number B under new business. Is the applicant even here?
Mr. Chair, the applicant doesn't appear to be here. I had a text number that I sent a message out when it was apparent we were getting close to the time, but I haven't had a response on it. So I don't know if because of the late hour, I know that they had intended to be here. They were planning on coming over. It may be because of the late hour they, I won't say gave up, but had to go home.
What was... Remind me what the other one was. Oh, this was for a pool in Countryway Town Square, right?
Mr. Chair, it's also a request for a adjustment or a variance to the setbacks, the rear setbacks. A little bit different situation. This is on the other side of Newberry Countryway.
Right.
There's a rear 10-foot setback. This is in the cottage area. And so, as you can see in the pictures that were provided, there's a very shallow covered porch patio area. They've extended the pavers, looks like about 10 feet maybe. It backs up to Track C, which is the stormwater management facility. And from the aerial you can see the configuration, and because of the way that the houses are situated, the one corner is substantially closer to the rear lot line than the other corner. And so the request is, if you look at the third house from the bottom, that's got another example of the pavers that were placed, the patio pavers out there, and that is essentially what the Ms. Meyer is requesting, is to be able to extend a porch roof out to the end of those pavers so that you can block the sun. They apparently, given the orientation of the house facing essentially south, in the afternoons it's a great deal of sun, and she wants to be able to put a additional an extended roof out to get some shade on her patio, whereas now it's the sun.
Okay. Has the applicant indicated what type of roof structure it'll be? Is it just going to be some aluminum? Is it
They did not, Mr.
substantial?
Chair.
They did not?
They did not. They just basically, the application said they wanted to be able to extend the porch to the edge of the pavers.
I would recommend deferring this until we can get the applicant in front of us and clarify what type of material, because that is awfully tight in there. I think there's some significant architectural considerations with something like that. Stand by. Hold on. So we've already approved an agenda item to entertain this. The applicant is not here, so our motion would be to remove this item from the agenda at a as yet to be determined time. Is that correct?
You could, Mr. Chair, you can also approve with conditions, and so if the concern was the type of roof line or something that was being put on there, you could specify a limit on that, whether it was a aluminum type structure.
Okay. Well, we've kind of been. I don't even know what Commissioner Coleman's motion was at this point. Should we go through? Do we have to go
I have a
through the
question.
hearing?
I'd like to- Farnsworth. But I do have a question.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is approval. Second by Commissioner Glanzer. I'll move forward with the motion on the floor. What is your question?
My question was, the third house up, it already had pavers that went out. So this house has pavers that go out, they just want to cover it. So that's the difference between the third one up and this one? Because we already approved the other one at some point.
Yes,
Right.
Mr. Chair, the applicant has requested to be able to extend the roof out to the edge of those pavers
Oh, just to where the
there.
pavers are. Okay, that's what I
Yes.
thought. Thanks.
Which, again, because of the configuration of the lot, will end up with the westernmost corner protruding into the 10-foot setback.
Commissioner Coleman?
The way it's probably going to be an aluminum awning in the back, but I don't know what the covenants are in there. I don't know if there's a homeowners association. But it's gonna go through permitting, and it's gonna go through their covenants. All I'm concerned about, are we gonna let them have the extra, how many feet is it again?
It
5?
looks to be about 5 feet.
Yeah, staying with my motion.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Okay. Well, I assume there's no other deliberations on the commissioner's part, commission's part?
Motion to approve. I'll go ahead and read the resolution into the record. This is resolution number 2018-14, a resolution of the City Commission serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida for approval of variance petition as authorized under section 3.2.5 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, providing for the location of a porch within the minimum rear yard setback area as provided for within section 4.2.4 of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. The maker of the motion would accept the reading of the resolution 2018-14 and that also being seconded for approval as read by title only.
All those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Variance is approved. Seeing no other business before this board, I will adjourn the meeting.